Hey everybody, welcome to an entirely new year of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. That is right, it is January 1st, 2016. 2015, just a mere memory in the back window of life. Okay, maybe not quite that dramatic, but you know what we're saying. A good show for you today, actually, as it works out. We have a few kit releases that came in at the end of the month. I got a few things here we're going to show you real quick. We're not going to do a whole separate crate video for a few things that have come in here at the end of the year. As well, of course, we got some kit announcements, and of course, I think the thing we're all looking forward to talking about the most, of course, will be the 2016 Revell of Germany kit announcements that were made late last night for what will be pretty much the bulk of 2016. Probably much like this year, there'll be a few things announced here and there throughout the year as they sort of flesh out the releases so that there aren't big gaps in the releases of various things. Right now, towards the beginning of this year, you have the German specific German-specific Citroen 2CV that's coming out, the Lufthansa liveried version of the Volkswagen Samba microbus, as well as the Ferrari 250 short wheelbase, the artillery kit that they're going to be reissuing here in January. So those will be sort of the kits that sort of flow out in the very beginning part of this year that lead into the kits that were announced last night. We have basically on the kit announcements, I have a few things from Aoshima. Spot runs for February. We talked about those in the last video. A few more things were announced through the corporate website that were not announced on the vendor websites that I tend to look at, as well as we got the final kits from round 2 that came out at the end of December. Real quick up front, I guess we have my personal life. A lot of people who pay attention, of course, know that the employment situation I've had in 2015, while relatively steady, I was not unemployed per se throughout the year. The employment, the nature of the employment was not very steady this year. That's caused quite a bit of various financial bumper cars throughout the year. Hopefully, we're going to fix that here in 2016. We have a new gig we're starting on Monday, on the 4th. So hopefully that will steady everything out. Seems like a good thing going into it. You won't know until you actually get it going, of course, but shouldn't affect this as far as recordings on the episodes being on Friday and all the rest of that happy nonsense. But just looking forward to that. The last quarter of this year was particularly rough to the point where I was actually on unemployment while I was working. That was how bad it was. So. Very much looking forward to actually working steady and getting a regular paycheck and not having to depend on taxes I've sent into the state to pay me back, basically. I've got a few things, like I said, that have come in here. I got Tower Hobbies. It's over now, so it's pointless to tell you about it, but was offering free shipping pretty much on everything after Christmas and before New Year's. So we had some, Christmas money laying around that we didn't have anything better to do with. I'm sure we have plenty of better things to do with, but we didn't have anything better to do with. And so I picked up the Weissach version of the Porsche 918 Spyder. You may recall the crate video we did from the Hobbyland Japan stuff. We had the decals to make the Salzburg version of this. So he's sliding this towards me. So there's this kit. Very nice kit, actually. I got a chance to really take a good look at it because when I got at the end of here, I don't know how this is going to show, but the end of it was all ripped directly from Tower Hobbies. And there was something rattling around inside, so I took it all apart to look at it. Here, part of the center console had erupted out of one of the bags. The bags in here have holes punched in them that usually is something that Revell of Germany doesn't do. I don't know if it was a heat thing or a cold thing, exactly why, because I've never seen that before. But actually, the body isn't a bag in here, and anybody who buys a lot of Revell of Germany kits knows that their bodies usually aren't even bagged at all. So, at any rate, the kit's not damaged. There's nothing wrong with it, but just took the chance to open it up and look at it, and it looks really great. I have the regular 918 Spyder on the way from Tower Hobbies. It had to ship from a different warehouse, so it didn't come with the shipment. The other thing we got from Tower, of course, the thing that's starting to pop up on everybody's video channels, this being the Mobius 1961 Pontiac Ventura. Another really nice kit. Mobius has really, I don't want to say stepped up their game because that's a cliche, but they've certainly been, releasing better kits each time they go around. Some of the early stuff was a little rough around the edges. I suppose certainly to be expected due to the fact that they were newly entering the automotive realm, and the automotive realm, of course, having it, accuracy issues where, if you're making a figure of a movie, a sci-fi piece, you can argue about how correct it is or isn't because, frankly, you're making a model of a model at that point. Cars don't have that leisure. They're got to be 125th or 124th, depending on who's making it, a replica of a real thing, and it's a tangible, existable thing that has pictures of it that exist, and it's not somebody's artist interpretation of something. So the Ventura could be the best thing they've done so far. There's still, issues with it. Probably the primary thing that a lot of people are going to recognize right up front is that the front turn signals that are in the bumper itself, the engraving on it was so light that when it was chrome plated, they basically evaporated. And there's no lens or anything else to sort of replicate the turn signal, so it just sort of doesn't exist. And very clearly on the real car, which, is a different thing to try to show you here. I try to point and do everything backwards here. There's a Pontiac script right here on the front grille, and that is just not on the kit at all. There's no decal for it. There's no engraving on the grille. Mobius has admitted that was a goof up, that there was a scripting in the original 3D design files for it, but somehow it never made it into the final tooling. And that's going to be fixed in the subsequent modified reissue of the Catalina 421 Super Duty that's going to come out sometime in 2016, later on this year. And then the last one, this is not actually from Tower. This is the Love Wagon 2008. And you're like, look at this going on. I can't read any of that. Yeah, I can't read any of it either. What this is a H100 series Toyota Hiace, which is the full-size van of Toyota. And the reason why we got this is the fact that this version of the Hiace has not been available in a factory stock configuration since maybe 2003, 2004 when it was issued. The loveliness of this is that it's molded in the hot pink that the box art shows it, so that's great. And it's like hot pink all the way through. Even the steel wheels are hot pink. What this is going to end up being is the sort of the courtesy vehicle for the dealership. I like just the concept of it being a steel-wheeled sort of utility van. It is a passenger van in the sense it's got the skylight roof and the windowed van. It's not a panel van or anything else like that. But that's what that was going to be. It's not going to stay pink. I may use a couple of the very small decals that will sort of tip you off to what it was. It's a TV show, and that was sort of a one-off kit that Hobby Search found in the back room behind the water cooler or something like that, and I snagged that up lickety-split when I saw it pop up the other day. It was actually 2 months ago, because that one came across on the slow boat, and it's just a neat kit in the sort of Japanese-ness of it, if you want to say, as well, of course, as just what it is in the sense that it's a kit that you can't find anywhere. So, on the announcement front, I pulled my notebook of knowledge out of something there, and all of a sudden everything was falling off the desk. We found out officially. Now, we knew this going in, obviously, because December's over and the kits didn't come out, but we knew it anyway, just in a general sense of where things were. Aoshima has officially declared that the Lamborghini Sesto Elemento, the Subaru Sambar fire truck, as well as the two initial D kits that they were modifying to be that sort of final race configuration, the Mazda RX-7 and the R32 GTR, that are getting some parts added to them, new wheels and stuff like that. All of that is officially delayed until at least March. So if you had any of that stuff on pre-order, well, your funds are free for another basically 2.5, 3 months now, because those things are not going to be out until then. It's always possible you could see some of them come out a little earlier, maybe February, but none of them are on slate for January. And the Sesto, is in tooling revision still, so that's not anywhere even close to being into production yet. But it's, with Aoshima. That is not necessarily a hazard, but it is one of the things they do is, make sure that they get out the best kit they can, and I have no problem waiting on it. It's not like I don't have anything else to do. Some kits that were announced from Aoshima. These were announced a little bit after the list that we put out last month. Basically about another half dozen things here. There's going to be the photo etch set for the Lamborghini Murcielago Super Veloce. That goes along with the Aventador and Countach. Now, these are February spot runs. We said they were going to do the kit from Season 4. They're also doing kit from Season 1. They're going to be doing the London Black Cab. This is that old IMA kit that everyone likes to claim is 124 scale, but it's more like 122nd and a half. They're going to be doing the Hilux Lowrider. This is the 1980s single cab Toyota Hilux, as well as the Datsun 720 Kali look. You may remember, if you really watch these episodes and pay attention, that they're doing the inverse of those in January, where they're doing the Datsun 720 Lowrider and the Hilux Kali look. So you're going to get all of those 80s single cab, short bed trucks in all of their lowrider specifications. It would really just be something fantastic if they could just, throw a regular suspension underneath of them and release them as actual pickups rather than being these sort of goofy Americanized version of Japanese lowriders. But it is what it is. If you take that Hilux and, put it on a four-wheel drive frame, suddenly you have, the Toyota what is that? Would be a SR5 4x4 that Marty had in Back to the Future. But as of yet, we're not convinced that was sell well enough, I guess. Also being reissued in February will be the 1970 Skyline 4-door 2000 GT, the Initial D RX-7 from Takahashi Ryosuke, the Lamborghini Countach LP400. This is the original Aoshima Supercar kit number 1. This is the car with the yellow box art. And then also they're going to be reissuing the 2012 Subaru BRZ with the engine. Interesting that this is the first time since the kit was issued that way 2 years ago that the kits with the engine have come back out. Maybe March or later, we'll see the Toyota Scion version with the engine come back out, but the Subaru with the engine is on slate for February. And like I said, I believe that is the first time that the kit with the engine insert in it, the 20-piece engine, so it's a pretty hefty engine, is coming back out. And I guess we'll see here. That takes us over to what kits came out this week. We'll take a real quick look at these 3 kits, and then we'll go talk about Revell of Germany. Get the stuff out of the way. These are all going to be around 2 kits. It's 1 MPC and 2 AMT kits. The MPC kit is the 1960 Corvette. This is the quote unquote 6-in-1 kit where there are just a plethora of options here. You've got several engines, several sets of wheels, several sets of tires. They're going to be pad printed Goodyear Blue Streak drag slicks in here, as well as obviously the ability to build it stock and custom, and sort of the speedster dragster that the box art is representing. And just really sort of an interesting kit because it hasn't been released necessarily in this format since the 1960s. This is the original, basically a copy of the original box art. And this kit was going for somewhere in the neighborhood of about $80-90 on eBay last week before the kit came out. So, huzzah, we've cratered another kit value. On the AMT side of things, it is the release of the Volkswagen Scirocco. This, of course, is a 2-in-1. It's always been that way, so there's nothing new about this kit at all, really. Although I think that they're putting smoked windows in it for the first time. I'm not positively sure that is a new feature. I have a Scirocco, but I haven't looked at it in a really long time, so I don't know necessarily if the smoked windows were part of the original kit. The road racing version is basically a set of fender flares. I don't believe there's actually any real engine upgrades or anything else like that. I believe there might be a roll cage for the inside. Again, it's been a really, really long time since I've looked at my Scirocco, but this is one of those AMT Lesney era Matchbox era kits the rumor was always that these tools didn't exist anymore because they either never made the transfer from Baltimore back up to AMT after the Lesney years went by, or that they had just basically rotted out on the docks in Baltimore and rusted beyond use. So it's kind of interesting to see what else will come of this. You have the Volkswagen Rabbit, which probably will not come back out because of the fact that the Revell one is just, vastly superior. It's 30 years newer and everything else. But there's the Subaru Brat. There are several other kits of that era that haven't seen the light of day since then. Be interesting to see what they have that's functional, that they can get licensing for and all the rest of that stuff. The last thing that came out this week is the Jim Cushman Plymouth Duster Chrysler Kit Car Short Track Late Model Sportsman. Blah, 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 blah. Big title on that. And this is probably the most interesting kit they've done all year in terms of restoring the tooling. They've gone back and retooled either completely made new tooling for or retooled all of the pieces that have been missing out of this kit for 39 years. This kit was issued once, 39 years ago, and then it was modified into other things, and it was never, and that was just sort of where it always sat. And it's been reissued a few times as the sort of different version of this, but never as this original one. It's going to have expanded full decals. One of the original problems of the original kit, Department of Redundancy, is the fact that the decals were not complete. They were only partial stripes. You sort of had to either make your own decals or hand mask off the paint job. This one has a full set of decals for the first time ever. And like I said, I've always found it more interesting when Round 2 does these type of restorations to tooling than just kicking out something else. The Sirocco hasn't been available since it was issued the first time back in the early 80s. That is another kit that's been costing $40, $50 lately. I managed to pick mine up for like $25, sort of a friend of a friend kind of transaction where, trying to get one otherwise probably would have been more expensive. And that Cushman Duster, again, because it hasn't been available in almost 40 years. Well, actually, now it is 40 years because it's 2016. That one, again, was another kit that was pushing almost $100 to find one of the original kits that was not modified. And there went the kit value on that. So, I don't mean, to be all sort of mean or cranky towards anybody, but I just always enjoy the people who think their model kits are going to be worth something if they collect them. Now, of course, what we talked about before, annual kits, stuff that it really was modified and the tooling doesn't exist for anymore and never will again, that's a completely different story. But Round 2 has proven, if anything, under Timlow's ownership, that you can never really say never about stuff that the tooling hasn't been seen for a long time. It's one thing, like I said, there'll never be another 69 Impala reissue because the 69 Impala became the 70 Impala. That's the heavy Chevy, and that's the way the kit is parked. And unless they would actually go back and, basically ruin the 70 Impala to take it back to the 69, or somebody tooled up a brand new 69, there'll never be another 69 Impala. That kit's worth money. Same thing goes with the 68 Impala because that became the 69, that became the 70. The 67 Impala, the original kit, again, doesn't exist anymore, but AMT in the Ertl era back in the 90s, of course, made that brand new 67 Impala, which, is arguably a gazillion times better than the annual was, just based on the gap of tooling technology and everything else. So, I'm always good for cratering the value of something that, does exist still. So, I guess that sort of takes us to where we're really excited to talk about, and that is the 2016 Revell of Germany stuff. I know talked to a few of my friends, and they're not exactly, thrilled about this. They sort of want different things, and you're never going to make everybody happy with it. Of course, I'm okay with all of this. I'm good with half of it anyway. I don't necessarily understand the other half, perhaps, but I get it. A couple of things up front. They're going to be reissuing the 1/8 scale 65 Corvette as a Revell of Germany kit. I know that's something that's not been available here in the United States, in a United States boxing, since the 1980s. Chances are this is not going to be reboxed here either. You're going to have to pay the freight for the Revell of Germany kit. Now, like most Revell of Germany kits, I'm sure will be available here in the United States, but it'll also, carry that sort of premium price tag. Also, they're going to be reissuing a series of 1/32nd scale snap-tight kits that are U.S. based. One of them being the Opel GT, the other one being a 63 Volkswagen Beetle, and the last one being the Kenworth Aerodyne Cab Over. All of those are 1/32nd scale snap-tie kits that have all, again, not been seen in a U.S. box in quite a long time. I was told, I don't know how true it is because I really haven't paid attention to it back then, but apparently 10 years ago is about when these were released last, give or take. I'm not so sure about the snap-tie kits, but the 1/8 scale Corvette apparently was released in Europe about 10 years ago. Last but not least, and is a new tooling, is a 1/16th scale BMW Isetta. That's that weird 3-wheel front door open little micro car that BMW did. I really hope this kit sells well enough and there's enough interest from those of us who don't build large scale to convince Revell to downsize the tooling to 1/24 scale. Yes, it's a very small car on 1/24 scale, but it's no smaller than, say, a Mini Cooper. Well, actually, it is smaller than a Mini Cooper, but it's not, proportionally smaller. It's not like we're talking about it's going to be 1/32nd scale or something like that. I assume that a 1/16 scale will be full detail. I'd like it to stay that way. The reason being that there is a BMW Isetta tool kit out there, and that is the one that is in the Gunzi Sanyo 2-kit package with a Messerschmitt little micro car too. Those kits are really, really expensive. One went for $51 on eBay last night when I wasn't paying attention to it. The auction ended like right at New Year's, right at when the ball dropped, and I was watching TV with my daughter and hanging out, and completely forgot about it until afterwards. I went to bed and the auction had ended and really hadn't gone anywhere since I looked at it beforehand. But the only other one online right now is $129, which of course is too much for it, but you know what I'm saying. It's a hard kit to find, and when you do, you tend to spend a lot of money on it. Love to see that BMW Isetta get ratcheted back down. I don't know that there's necessarily precedence within Revell of Germany of doing that. However, if you do pay attention, you realize that there is just released a 1/16 scale version of the Volkswagen Samba microbus. That is upscaled from the 1/24 scale tool. It's a completely new tool. It's patterned after, but doesn't share, it's obviously not the exact same thing. A lot of it's much more refined due to the larger scale. But, the precedence exists to upscale. I'm hoping the precedence also exists to downscale, because that would be really great to have that historical car in a full detail, modern tool, kit again. So, what are they doing in 1/24 scale? Well, the thing I don't understand, we're going to talk about this real quick up first. Well, I do understand. It made me go, huh, when I looked at it first. Now, you're looking at this going, it's a Tamiya kit. No, it's not. This is half of the new tool, 1/24 scale tooling for Revell of Germany, will be their version of the Porsche 934 RSR race cars. They are going to do the two kits that you would think that they wouldn't do because of the fact that Tamiya does them, and that, of course, this is the Jaegerbomb, and this is the Valiant air conditioning car. These are both going to be brand new tool kits. These look to me, these display kits look like they're die cast, frankly, because it looks like the doors open, and these kits aren't supposed to be out until like October, so there's no way that the tooling is already done enough to have pictures of them. So I'm guessing that these actual pictures are of die cast vehicles. They're not the Tamiya kits, because the Tamiya kits have slicks rather than road tires like this. These have treaded tires for some reason. But what I suspect these are going to be are not the Tamiya tools rerun with a Revell of Germany box. I believe that they will be new tool kits. We'll find out probably for sure, or at least better idea, in February at the Nuremberg Toy Fair. However, going into that, I'm going to say that the tooling for the Tamiya kits is 25 plus years old. It's from the 1980s. It's a very, very, very basic kit. It's only about 40 parts or so. It is curbside. There's several things about it that in retrospect aren't the most accurate, especially the fender arches and other things like that. What I believe you're going to see here are brand new to state-of-the-art 2016 tooling of a very, very popular and historic German race car, and those cars were raced in a German series, not anything that was in Japan. And I think you're going to get full detail kits at that. They're going to have engines. I don't know if the front end, those seem to look like the front hoods, or what would be the trunks in a Porsche open. I don't believe those will. I don't know if the doors will or not, but I believe you're going to see a 90, 100 piece Revell of Germany full detail, full engine kits out of both of those. you sit there and you scratch your head and go, well, Tamiya kits exist and they really don't need to do them again. Keep in mind two things. One, again, that Tamiya kit is very old. Well, it's not very old. The stuff Round 2 works with is very old. But in the overall sense of things, guys, the 1980s is 30 years ago now. It's old. It's very simplified, and it's curbside. Plus, Revell of Germany is selling to a European first market. So, while Tamiya does offer those kits, they are Japanese market kits. You see this with the Citroen 2CV Charleston. You saw this with the Mini Cooper. And we saw this with the Volkswagen Beetle kits. Obviously, the Beetle Cabriolet was something that Tamiya had not done. But the Beetle kit was a slightly different version of the Beetle than the Tamiya one. Actually, the Beetle kit is a very different version, nuanced, but very different in the sense that it is a German home market Volkswagen Beetle. A lot of people were very pissed off about that because it was not a North American Beetle or whatever. It was a German Beetle. How dare they? Well, it's Revell of Germany, folks. Deal with it. The Mini Cooper was a lower displacement base model Mini Cooper, where the Tamiya kits, again, being 25, 30 years old, were a more high-end Mini Cooper, and the 2CV Charleston that they did was a very late production 1982 Charleston, which was the high-end 2CV, whereas the Tamiya one is a 1960s base model. Is there any difference between these two cars as far as what a 934 Turbo RSR is? No, there's not, but I believe you'll see the correct wheels, the correct wheel arches, a full detail kit, and it's going to be brand new tooling of what is an iconic German race car. One of the most successful race cars of the 1970s in a German series from a German manufacturer, so it makes sense. Now, the stuff that I'm really excited about are the two other new tool kits that we're going to get, and they are, yes, the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT. Cha-ching. Yes, the SLR AMG kit is a Tamiya kit, but, of course, Revell of Germany did the SLS AMG, and this fits in with that thing. I hope this provokes Fujimi to do one, because that'll provoke Fujimi to, of course, make the GT3 version, and that's what I really, really want, is the race car version of this kit. However, in the intervening period of time, I will certainly take a nice, brand new, full detail Mercedes-Benz kit. Stoked for this one. I like the car itself. It's keeps the look of the sort of SLS, but it's certainly more updated. It'd be great to have this kit out. And again, like I said, if it prompts Fujimi to make one, it'll be curbside, which I won't buy. But that curbside SLS, of course, led to the GT3 car. And the other new toolkit, very, very exciting, is this. This is the McLaren 570S. Yeah, I know a lot of people were like, oh, it's not a P1. Okay, well, yeah, it's not. I'm with you there to a certain extent. But the 570S, you got to remember, is the sort of entry-level McLaren. It is the base economy model of, if there was such a thing, of the McLaren family. After you get into a 570S, you get into a 650S, and then the P1 exists after that. Of course, the P1 technically doesn't exist anymore because the P1 production is over. They were selling that in a very limited number. They were all built and all sold, and there are no more P1s. So technically speaking, the car is no longer in existence in a freshly manufactured sense of the way. Of course, the P1 didn't just all evaporate off the face of the earth at once. I'd be very, very stoked to get a P1. Don't get me wrong. I think it'll be great to have. But if we're going to sort of build it out over a couple of years, because this is, for the people who were reading various forums, it was leaked the end of last month, the end of November, I should say, because last month is now December, but the end of November, that they would be doing a British supercar. But we were told it wasn't going to be a McLaren. That led to a lot of, is it going to be a Jaguar or is it going to be an Aston Martin? So to see McLaren was actually kind of surprising because we were told it wasn't going to be a McLaren. But what we heard along with that was that if it sells well enough, it may cause them to do a series of kits with this manufacturer. And like I said, a 650 and then the P1. Heck, go back and make me a good F1 because the Fujimi kit stinks. I'm cool with that. I don't have a problem with it. And that, guys, is what we got from Revell of Germany. Those pictures that we just showed you, courtesy of DPMV, a German model website. There will be a link in the description to their website because they, of course, covered all of the releases from Revell of Germany, which includes all of the Star Wars kits, all of the aircraft, armor, and boat kits. There are some new aircraft tools. There are some new armor tools. And things like that. So a couple of new, I think there's at least 1 or 2 new boat tools in there. There's 2 helicopter new tools. So for the IPMS guys, there is going to be new Revell of Germany kits as well. A lot of shared tooling because that's just what Revell of Germany does. As well, anybody who deals with them knows that a lot of the armor air, we call that the air, sea and land vehicles are shared tooling, and there's some shared tooling Star Wars stuff that's coming out as well. So like I said, link down there in the bottom so that you can check it out if you're interested in models beyond the car stuff that we talk about here. Plus, give them credit where credit is due. They are the ones that provided those photos and all the information. So anyway, guys, I believe that's it. We're looking forward to a great 2016. I want to take a second out here to thank everybody for all your support throughout 2015. You guys are what makes this channel go. All the subscribers, all of the likes and the comments and the discussions that we have, and all the friends we've made here on YouTube throughout the year. Appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in every single Friday. And we'll see you guys in a couple, 3 days, probably after the weekend, because everybody's out for the holiday, and we'll do our January compilation video, and we'll see what Friday looks like as far as doing a video. Japan is on another holiday on next Monday on the 11th, so they're working basically a 4-day week this week, a 4-day week, they're not working all this week. They're working a 4-day week next week, a 4-day week the week after that. So we may just take off next week and just roll, with that. We'll see what gets announced because Chinese New Year's coming up, and so there's a whole thing with that as far as kit manufacturers go. So we'll play it by ear, but there will be at least one video next week of the January compilation. So guys, again, thanks for all your support, and we'll see you on the other side.